This video is sponsored by RodyPolis.com. Hello, I am Ignace Aleya from ToleratedCinematics.com, and today I will be showing you how to create something similar like this. Okay, so great example on how to create something like this using the Ink FX Studio from RodyPolis.com. And of course, if you want to be fully able to create this, you'll have to buy the products on RodyPolis.com. But for this tutorial, RodyPolis gave us one sample folder that contains 2 Ink effects completely for free, so you can follow along with this tutorial and try it out for yourself before you buy it. So a great way to start learning in After Effects, and the link will be in the description if you want to download this folder. For this tutorial itself, I'm also going to use the other ink effect over here, but that doesn't matter at all because it's actually just the same as these. It just contains more variation, and it's just a better way to create some great final results. So before we start, I will say that I already pre-made them actually. So as you can see, if you download the new ink effects, you will see it has a white background and a black ink on there that animates like this. This is real footage, so it has been filmed in 4K, which is great. You have the 4K resolution, but apart from that, mine aren't with a white background, and when you get them originally, they will have a white background. So I have rendered out these completely by myself, so I can have them without a background. The reason why they have a background is just for sending them through internet, else the files would be way too big, and we'll have to key this out before we do so, before we start this tutorial. So I'll close this folder for a second, and I will show you in this example on how to erase the background. I will also have a preset in the description that you can download and apply to your footage, but I'll show you in a second what that means exactly. So if you have the ink effects over here, you can drop them into a new composition, and you can see that they have a white background. So what I have done is I created a remove white background user preset. So I made my own preset to remove the white background. I'm going to drag this onto my folder, and right away, if we toggle this transparency button here, we will see the background is completely gone. So that you can download in the description. It's very easy. You can just go to animation, apply animation preset, browse for your for the preset that you just downloaded in the description, click on it, open it up, and it will apply it to your effects over here. So I won't go over these effects. If you want to do it yourself, just see I started with an invert, took shift channels, change it to luminance, remove the color matte to black, and then an invert again to make it black again. So that's my way on how to erase the background. You don't have to follow this along, and you can do it whatever you want to do. Also, for the beginners out there, don't be scared to follow this tutorial just by seeing all these effects. We won't continue with this. All the rest is very easy to follow, so we'll do that now. Okay, so once you have erased your background from your ink, you can use this and you can render it out without a background, or you can just use the composition, and every time you use a composition in a new composition, it won't have a background at all. So you'll have to do that for all the ink effects that you have or that you're going to use in your project. You can also just import another one and then just apply the new effect there, and the background is removed. So that being said, I'm going to delete everything so you can follow along with my way of the tutorial with already keyed out ink effects. So for the people that only want to use a free example, use these 2 variations. I'm going to be using these. It's exactly the same. Okay, so let's get starting. I've been talking way too much about this already. So I'm going to make a new composition using a paper texture. You don't have to follow that along because that's also not included in the free sample. You'll have to buy the pack if you want a paper texture, but I'm sure you can find a different texture that kind of resembles this one. This one is pretty great, so but just for the tutorial, you can do it without a background. Yeah, just it's completely up to you. I'm going to be using the background because I think it looks cooler, so I will be showing you on how to edit a little bit on the paper texture background. So right away, once you drag this into a new composition, you will see this paper texture. And you will see it doesn't have a lot of variation, it's just paper. And for video, or for our video, it's quite boring to be so Yeah, clean. So I'm going to add a little bit of fractal noise, some dirt to it, to give it some more structure. So the first thing I'm going to do is right click over here, go to new and add a new solid. Over here I'm just going to name this some dirt maybe. As you can see, the height and the width are both 5000 just to have some extra resolution to play with. Afterwards I will make it comp size, so that's a comp size, that's the size of the paper texture. Just make sure it's bigger than your final output result and you'll be fine. Okay, so I have my solid selected over here. I'm going to apply an effect going by going to noise and add a fractal noise effect. So everyone probably knows this effect. It's a great effect to apply some random things to your footage. So yeah, I have fractal noise applied over here, so I'm going to fractal type and change it to dynamic progressive. There we go. And as it's a very big file, I'm also going to jump into transform and add some scale of maybe 500, make it big enough, and then I'm going to change it to, let's say, color burn. Then I'm going to press T on the keyboard with this layer selected so I can see the opacity, and I'll bring this down to like 15. And you can see this gives a little bit of variation in our background. Right away you'll see it's a much more interesting background already. So what you can do now is duplicate this, maybe change the evolution a little bit, add some more contrast, take some brightness away, go to transform, maybe change it like this. It's all up to you. You can really play with this as much as you want. You can change it to multiply and just do a few different options, see what works for you. You'll see that my opacity isn't too high, so I keep my opacities very low just so it doesn't distract the eye too much. So you can see the difference is so little, but yet again it does add up very nicely. So that's all I'm going to do. Just 2 layers of fractal noise above my paper, and it really gives it a lot more life to it. So and that's for the background already. So if you couldn't follow along because you don't have a paper texture, now we're going to get into the real stuff and we're going to make up our tutorial. But before we continue our tutorial, I want to talk a little bit more about RodyPolis.com. RodyPolis.com is a great website where you can buy products that really enhance your projects, like ink effects, light leaks, 3D models, and so on. And if you use the coupon code TOLERATED, you can get 10% off. So be sure to check out their website, link will be in the description. Now back to the tutorial. So first of all, we are going to make a kind of template using multiple inks that are going to pop over each other, and they will reveal the image that we are going to make later in this video. So to do that, I'm going to make a new composition. And I'm going to make it 3000 by 3000 just so we have extra room to play with after for a full HD composition afterwards. So I'm going to rename this composition to Ink Transition 01, so we'll make some variations on this if you want to, and all the other settings are fine, so I'll click OK. I'm also going to toggle this on, well, I'll leave it off for now. So everything is fine, just make sure you have a transparent background. And now I'm going to use my already transparent inked effects in 4K. So I'll see what works. Maybe I'll open one up, see if it's looking good. No, I don't want to use this one. Okay, I love this one, so I'll put this one on here. Maybe drag out some other more. Let's say we'll drag all these in here. And if you don't have all these inked effects because you're using the free sample, just take all these in and then duplicate them a few times by hitting Ctrl D on the Windows or Command D on a Mac, and then you have multiple variations of your inked effects. They'll just look the same, but that isn't too bad. So just make sure you have a few in your composition like I have right over here. First thing I'm going to do is select all of them by clicking on the bottom one and shift clicking on the top one, pressing T on the keyboard and changing the opacity to 30%. And what that'll do is every inked effect is going to add up on each other, gaining a bright middle and some transparency on the edges over here. So that's a great way to build up everything to make that transition happening. So I will solo this one and position it. Solo the second one, position this one as well, and just make some variation in the position like so, and do that for all the other ones. Just make it a little bit wider, and you'll get a hang of it once you understand what I'm doing here. Okay, so once you have some on the edges, I'll start building up some in the middle. You can see the middle is already becoming darker, and finally we want to have a center that's completely black. So the black part will be the one that shows the image, let's say. So we can still we can still see through over here. So I'm going to click over here, press T on the keyboard for my last inked effect over here, and I'm going to increase this to 75% or so, and then you can see it's completely black already. So maybe even a few more, scale it up, scale it down, make one over here, and maybe make this one 100. Well, not the scale, but in the opacity, 100 opacity. There we go. And maybe add a few more, because we don't have enough in here, in my opinion. So a few more. I'm going to unsolo these, solo this one. Okay, this is a great one. I'm going to scale this down by hitting S on the keyboard. Then you will have scale revealed over here. Scale it down like this, and put this one maybe in the middle. And then we solo this one here. See how that's okay. We're going to delete this one. I don't want any inked effects coming from the edges. I just want inked effects that are starting from the center. And this one is a double, so that's also pretty cool. You can also use this one. And I'm going to scale this down and maybe put it like this over here. That's actually a very nice one. I'm also going to rotate it in the vertical direction. So I'm going to the rotation tool over here and just drag it like this. Go back to the move tool and make it stand over here. Great. So now what we have is a buildup of center, very, very dark ones, and on the edges we have some lighter ones. What you can do now is play a little bit more with the opacity, because now all these bottom ones are 30% opacity. Maybe you want to change a few to 50, like I'm doing here, just so to have some variation in the opacities. Maybe this one as well, change it to 80%. Okay, great. So now we have some variation over here, maybe even 90. Okay, that's great. And just try to make something that looks different. Just build up, play with it for a while. So I'm doing this very quickly now because we have a tutorial to finish, but please take your time to do this, and maybe also add make some new compositions, inked effects, ink transition 02, ink transition 03, so we can build up with a few transitions, and that's a very great way to do this effect. Okay, so the last thing we should do in our inked effects transition is do an offset on our inked effect over here. So I'll just do this very quickly by hand. You do have free plugins to do that, but yeah, for the time being here, I'm just going to do that by hand over here. So that's great. There we go. And let's play it back and see how it looks like. So okay, so this is enough to preview our playback. So I'm going to play this back, and this looks stunning. So this is going to give us our best results. So you can see it builds up very nicely, and the center becomes darker and darker, and this is going to reveal our image. So that's all you have to do, and we're actually almost done with our tutorial. Well, I'm still going to be I'll still keep talking a little bit about other solutions, but the base of our tutorial is almost done. So right here I have an image that a friend of mine took, so I'm going to use this one for the tutorial, and I'm going to drag this into a new composition to edit a little bit. So we can see the composition name is pretty distracting, so I'm going to rename the composition by going to the composition settings and changing this name to the sketch. Okay, so now we have a sketch. I'm going to put this in a folder, and I'm going to do this picture styles. Okay, we need 3 different picture styles. So we have a sketch, then we can duplicate it by clicking on our composition over here in the project manager, Control D to duplicate it, or going to edit duplicate, and we're going to rename this one to cartoon, and then one more hit the return key to rename your composition, and I'm going to name this one Final Image. Okay, so now we have a sketch, a cartoon, and a final image. In the sketch, if you open up the sketch, we're going to apply a simple effect to our image called cartoon. So I'm dragging this onto my image here, and I'm going to change the render to edges only, and there we can see our sketch effect. And then next we want to do is close this down and just go to the detail radius, maybe hit 4, a detail threshold of maybe 20, or maybe even 40. Okay, 40 is good, and then the width should be 0.5, well, comma 5, or comma 7.5. Okay, so it isn't too thick, the lines, and it defines like a very cool shape. So this is pretty cool. We're going to leave it at that for the sketch. Then we're going back to our project manager over here, and we're going to go into the cartoon itself. We're also going to apply the same effect again, but this time we're going to change the fill here. Then we're going to head into the fill here and change the steps to 4 and maybe the smoothness to 20. And now we can see it's more like a cartoony image, as you can see over here. And now we are actually done. So the next thing that we have to do is go to a new composition and add up everything that we just made. So we have the paper background texture. I'm going to drag and drop this into a new composition, and this is going to be our composition that we're going to build everything up to. So next is to import all these comps, cartoon, final image, and sketch, drag them into the new composition. I'm going to rename this composition to the main comp, or build up comp. Here we're going to build up our effect. Okay, so next is the inked transition 01. Put it above the sketch, duplicate it again, put it above the final image, duplicate it again, and put it above cartoon. And then select inked effects transition 01 and cartoon and drop them below the final image. So it has to be a build up. So first we start with a sketch, cartoon, final image. Pretty easy to understand. Then next what you want to do is offset them again. So select all these and leave the background where it is. And then just move it a little bit in time. Deselect everything. Select these 4, offset, and then this one, offset. So very straightforward. It comes up, then it's a cartoon, then it's a final image. Okay, so let's put our slider here at the sketch effect here, and we're going to click on sketch and change this to multiply. So the white background is deleted, and then we want to also change the track matte. If you don't see these options, just toggle switches over here or press F4 on the keyboard and change it to alpha matte. And now we can see it's only going to show the part that the transition is showing in our video. So if I undo this for a second, and we have our ink transition here being visible, you can see if it's going to animate, everything that becomes black is going to be an alpha, because it doesn't have any background. So just everything that you see is going to take over the image. And the first thing we should do is solo the sketch and solo the ink transition, and just position the ink transition good enough so it doesn't leave our image. So I'm going to scale this down and maybe rotate it like this. And now we can see it doesn't leave our image on any of these edges. So if we keep scrolling through our video, it shouldn't be bigger than our image itself. Okay, so over here it's messing up a little bit, so I'm going to jump in here, and I can see it's from this final effect here. I think it's this one, okay, so effect 38, I'm going to delete it because it doesn't fit our video here. And then also the 36, it's it doesn't match. So back to the build-up comp, we can see it's leaving our image just a bit, so I'm going to make it even smaller a little bit, so like this, and reposition it. Now we can see it's perfectly in our image, and what we can do is actually maybe apply all the position scale effects to our other inked effects by hitting P on the keyboard, Yeah, there we go, we have the position. Then also hold Shift on the keyboard and press S on the keyboard. That's going to reveal the position and the scale. We click Shift to both select them, to select both of these effects, and hit Ctrl C to copy these, and then click on these two, paste it out, and now it's going to take over the same position and the same effect, so the same scale. So now they're at the exact same location as this inked effects transition, because the image is the same in every location. It's the same location. So maybe a little bit harder to understand, but hopefully you can understand it well enough. Also the rotation we should copy, so rotation, Ctrl C, and paste it onto this one. Okay, there we go. And now we are done. So the only thing we have to do is click on our sketch, our cartoon, and our final image, change it to alpha matte, and now we have our image revealed to the background, and there we go. So that's all we have to do. Might be a little bit confusing for beginners, especially if you have never used track mattes and stuff like that, but just try to carefully follow through this tutorial. I know it's a little bit tricky if you don't understand what you're doing, and it's also very hard to explain, so I'm sorry for that if it doesn't make sense at all, so hopefully it does. And you can see it's maybe coming on to the screen a little bit too fast, so what we can do is offset it even more like this. There we go. And if we preview this, yeah, first you see the sketch, then the cartoon, and then the final image, and this is great. So this looks very, very nice. Okay, so this looks very cool. I didn't render it out completely because I want to do a few more things, and that's add some inks around this to make it feel like more realistic, even though it's not, but just to give it some extra finishing touch by adding some more inked effects into the composition, position them on the side over here, maybe scale them down, maybe even change the modes, go through them. Let's see what options we have. Maybe take an overlay mode over here and change the color by going to effects, color correction, tritone, and change the black one to yeah, a color that you want. So let's say we want to pick one of the colors that is in the image itself, so maybe something summer like this, and then we can add some more, so maybe another one like this one. I really do like this one with the size over here, so I'm going to scale this down as well, maybe position it over here, and I'm going to copy the same color. So that's all up to you, changing the colors, and also change it to overlay. There we go. So you can really build this up, maybe add some text over here, so maybe add some other ink here to make it a little bit wider, position it over here, scale it down, also paste the same color to it, and overlay. There we go. This is looking pretty cool, and now you can go to the text, maybe add a text, tolerate it, there we go. And change the color. Just some examples to see what's possible with this inked effects pack. Maybe it's a little bit too bright, the color, so change it a little bit more green, like so. Maybe this one a little bit more orange. And you can really mix it up. Yeah, the green is also too. Okay, so this looks pretty cool, and now it's just the font that I don't like, so well, yeah, that's all up to you, of course. So you can change, I don't have anything in mind right now, so I can scroll through this, maybe tick off the all caps. like this. Okay, so we have our text here, and then we should just add just offset this like when the image is shown over here, and also offset these inks a little bit so now they're coming on screen apart. And maybe we could also drop the text below the last ink here. What you also could do is take these inked effects, go to layer, pre-comp, name it ink comp 2 maybe, just quickly and dirty, but you can change the opacity here to overlay, the mode to overlay, and change it also to a alpha matte. So there we go. Oh, I mean the text, we should drop it down and change it to an alpha matte, and now our text is coming once our ink is revealed. So this is pretty cool as well. And then duplicate this on the background to show it like so. Okay, have one comp visible, get your text, duplicate the same comp, put it on top, and change it to alpha matte, and this is going to reveal our text through its visibility. So that's pretty cool as well, to have our text revealed like this. I know the font isn't too good right now, but yeah, I didn't have time to watch for a good font. This is just a tutorial preview, and now what you could do is go back to the project file, create a new composition, completely new, and change it to a full HD comp like so. Hit enter, and then just drag your build-up comp in here and see how this looks in a full HD comp. And the reason why our other comp is so high, the resolution is so high, is so you can drag it around and see what works. So maybe it was a little bit even too large, but it doesn't matter, you can scale it down like so, maybe even 80, and there we go. Like even 90 is good. We're going to position it over here, and the next thing you can do is add an adjustment layer and just add some color correction. So going to curves in the color correction and add some curves. There we go, and one last thing is a vignette, so add a new solid with a black color, okay, and make a comp size, click OK, and then go to a mask, okay, mask ellipse tool, and drag a mask like so, change it to subtract, hit F on the keyboard, change it to 500, and change the mode to overlay, and there we go. Change the opacity to something a little more subtle. And now we have a cool background, so maybe you can play around with the modes. If you don't like this one, you can go to multiply, or yeah, whatever you want to. So this is basically on how to create something similar to our preview. There we go, so pretty cool effect. And it's not hard at all once you get a hang of it, but yeah, maybe it's a little bit tricky because of the track mats and stuff like that. But just watch this tutorial if you didn't fully understand it, and rewatch it, and you will understand it eventually. So thank you for watching, and hopefully you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, give it a like. Also subscribe for more tutorials in the future. Links will be all in the description, so you can check it out all there. So be sure to check the description. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.